Hey folks, it's Jared Mannanen from the website TahoeTrailGuide.com. Before I dive into my brief discussion about traditionalism versus modernism, I wanted to preface it with some background information. Not about the discussion itself, but rather this particular day of cross-country skiing. I originally intended on publishing this video at the end of April 2020 as a companion piece to my April 21st video. That video featured a short cross-country ski tour that I took on April 5th, whereas this one features footage from the very next day. And if you watch that other video, you'll see that the conditions are totally different than what's shown here. That's what I love about the weather. It has the uncanny ability to transform the familiar into something new. The reason I didn't publish the video back then was because it felt inappropriate and irrelevant at the time. The world had essentially gone into total lockdown due to the COVID-19 outbreak. People were losing their jobs. They feared for losing their homes and their loved ones. And there I was, living the dream and acting like I didn't have a care in the world. The fact is, I chose April 6th to be my last day of cross-country skiing for the 2019-2020 season. As much as I wanted to continue the season in the backcountry like any other year, this wasn't like any other year. And I didn't want to be one of those guys, which is to say I didn't want to unnecessarily put myself at risk for personal gain, while potentially putting at risk other people such as first responders and emergency medical personnel. And I didn't want to potentially draw those professionals away from more critical situations at such a time of great uncertainty. Like any other snow sport enthusiast, I too was disappointed that the season came to such an abrupt end. But again, I understand that my desires are ultimately selfish, and I'd much rather be a part of the solution rather than the problem. Or at the very least, get the fuck out of the way so that the professionals can do their jobs without having to deal with my nonsense. So instead of complaining, I modified my exercise routine and outdoor activities so that I never ventured too far from home and traveled primarily on foot. Basically, I dove into the meditative pastime of birding, which is like mindful walking, aka taking a very long time to walk a very short distance. But that's a story for another day. With today's video, I wanted to share some of my thoughts about traditionalism versus modernism. Enjoy, and then post your thoughts in the comment section below. In 2020, I saw big increases in viewer activity on Tahoe Trail Guide and my YouTube channel. This is great, but the increased activity isn't without its drawbacks. The further my words and videos extend, the more people become exposed to them. And believe it or not, there are some critics out there. We obviously can't please everybody all of the time, but I try to do my best. I like to believe that what I offer are universal lessons about exercising autonomy and experiencing adventure. Who doesn't want that in their life? So whenever somebody takes issue with my work, it gives me pause for thought. I treat the confrontation as an opportunity to learn, be professional, and establish myself as a credible resource. In all fairness, I've only received a handful of critical comments compared to an overwhelming number of likes and new subscribers. However, a comment that got under my skin was in regards to a snowshoeing video that I published in the winter of 2018-2019. The comment initially struck me as being odd because who'd be critical of someone demonstrating basic snowshoeing techniques? Then I reread the comment, focusing on the part that said something like, "Traditional snowshoes are the best." The old wooden types with the lattice work of rawhide, I asked myself, do people even still use those? After about 30 seconds of online research, I found multiple articles and videos espousing the merits of traditional snowshoes compared to their modern counterparts. Then I realized that many of the proselytizers of traditional snowshoes fell into the bushcraft and primitive/pioneer skills subculture. Oh, I get it. This is a dogma thing. This is a traditionalism versus modernism thing. This is another one of those situations where everything looks like a nail to a hammer. During my brief research into traditional snowshoes, I discovered numerous videos of dudes wearing buckskin coats and beaverskin hats walking across snow-covered meadows in an effort to determine the quote-unquote best snowshoe. Was it the Ojibwa, Bear Paw, Modified Bear Paw, Huron, Alaskan, or was it that little plastic one that someone picked up from Costco last week? Well, let me tell you, the winner was never the modern snowshoe no matter the brand. In fact, mostly the modern style was included in the contests simply to illustrate its inferiority to its traditional brethren. My video basically replicated the same scenes featured in those snowshoe comparison videos, There I was, hiking short distances through thigh-deep snow across gently rolling terrain. So apparently this just fed into the commenter's belief that modern snowshoes are worthless junk compared to the old ways. Let's just put a pause on life and live as if it were 20, 40, 100 plus years ago, because life was so much better back then. I imagine it was for some people. Yet time waits for no one, so here we are in 2020 whether we like it or not. Anyway, confirmation bias is a powerful elixir. It provides that affirmation that you're always right. But it doesn't really help you learn anything new now, does it? Of all the videos I watched, I never saw the testers hike up or down steep hills, let alone mountains, through dense forests, or across wind-scoured and icy terrain. They just traveled across the flat and rolling terrain, covered in deep snow that makes for an ideal setting to quote-unquote test the larger and more cumbersome traditional snowshoes. In the Sierra Nevada, however, our winters run the gamut. We can experience multiple feet of dry snow accumulating in a short amount of time. Then those storms will often be followed by days of sunshine and 40-degree temperatures causing the snow to set. From there, we'll often be stuck in a freeze-thaw cycle until the next snowstorm hits. We do have open meadows, but no matter where you travel in the Sierra Nevada, you're bound to encounter sections of hard-packed, wind-swept, and icy terrain. Traveling in the backcountry, in my opinion, with snowshoes that aren't agile enough to negotiate natural obstacles, or don't feature crampons that can deal with variable snow conditions, is a dangerous practice. For the conditions in which I was snowshoeing during my video, I agree that a larger set of snowshoes would have been beneficial. But no matter how important it is to have the right tool for the job, it's always more important to know technique. Gear is specific, technique is universal. You can more easily modify your technique to accommodate your gear than you can modify your gear to accommodate your technique, or lack thereof. For example, having a 4x4 vehicle alone won't guarantee you'll never get stuck in a snowbank. To fully reap the benefit of having that four-wheel drive capability, you still need to know how to drive in snowy conditions. During my first 12 years of living at Lake Tahoe, I owned a two-wheel drive car. I admit that it was stressful and a bit reckless at times, but I managed because I know how to drive in the snow. That said, I finally upgraded to a Jeep because I eventually got tired of being stressed out about climbing even the smallest hill that was covered in snow and ice. Again, the core concept behind nearly everything I create is that we can all be autonomous, free-thinking beings capable of adapting to any situation so long as our minds are open to new possibilities. So the reason I produced the snowshoe video wasn't to sell a brand or style of snowshoes. I was selling a way of life that included outdoor adventure, but not restricted by the belief that outdoor adventure should only look a certain way. The point I was illustrating was that once you learned basic technique and understood how to use snowshoes, you could pretty much travel anywhere safely and confidently. But although nearly all of those techniques I demonstrated could have been implemented with traditional snowshoes, they're still severely limited by the fact they don't have crampons. So as much as I suffer from gear lust, deep down I understand that gear is just a set of tools. Gear is not something to be coveted. Maintain and take care of it so that it will last as long as possible, but never lose sight of the fact that it serves us and not the other way around. I don't believe there's a best anything. There's only what works, and what works is nearly always based on the individual and their experience, skills, and circumstances. So the better your technique becomes, the more you can accomplish with less. But eventually your abilities will exceed the gear's limitations, and you'll need to acquire a more appropriate tool for the job. Before I close, I just want to state on record that, in spite of my snarky comments, I absolutely respect practitioners of bushcraft and pioneer skills and art. I hold in high esteem those who would carry the past forward. With so many advances in technology at such an accelerated rate, it's easy to lose sight of where we come from and why we do the things we do. Realistically, as a cross-country skiing instructor who promotes classic skiing over skate skiing, I've become an archivist who's doing their part to prevent a fine art from being relegated to the annals of history. Why? Because I think classic skiing is a beautiful and universal language for traveling across snow. And I can hear the guy watching this from the furthest corner of the internet asking, do people even still diagonal stride? That's all I got, folks. I appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, If you have any feedback or questions, post it in the comment section below, and then check out TahoeTrailGuide.com for more information. Also note that I produced this short essay for my personal newsletter, which came out in February of 2020. Feel free to check out jaredmanninen.com for the original transcript, as well as the photos that I posted alongside those words. Take care, everyone.